Well, a couple of things. First of all, whose balls is he hiding in his cheeks?
Yeah.
That's the first question I want to know. And I don't love the way he says, fierce.
Yeah.
Bullshit is that? No, you don't, sir. We don't lie about military service we didn't actually perform, like going to war. We don't steal valor by saying that we had a higher rank in the National Guard. And my husband said he looks like Elmer Fudd. That's what he looks like, Elmer Fudd. Like there's something.
Imagine this scene for a moment. Tim Walz suddenly becomes the main target of two powerhouse personalities. Megyn Kelly, the icy queen of sharp takedowns, and Tyrus, the unstoppable human tank armed with a microphone that feels more like a weapon than a tool. Watching them go after him together is like witnessing two expert roasters team up on a guy who honestly believed he had signed up for a friendly community bake sale instead of a comedic ambush. You'll laugh, you'll cringe, and by the time they're done, you might genuinely wonder whether Walz should consider applying for a witness protection program because the hits come fast, loud, and merciless. This isn't politics anymore. This is pure comedy wrapped in tailored suits, and it lands harder than most late-night punchlines ever could.
Is deeply part of it. That's one of the, I mean, I think it goes, and you can look at the reasons why we've had this sort of dialectic over the Me Too movement. And well, this
I think I think most of their.
What he's mad about is his own fault. He's mad about the image that was portrayed of him as the hunter. And who did that? You did that. We just laughed about it because the one thing you can't do is you can't front. You can't floss. Those are two key words when it comes to manhood. Can't pretend to be.
You definitely won't want to miss this moment, so hit that like button and subscribe because things get intense fast. Before the conversation even warmed up, Tyrus didn't stroll into the discussion casually. He charged in like a former wrestler, spotting a fully loaded buffet table and sprinting toward it with purpose. And who was his target? Not some nervous intern or inexperienced staffer. It was Tim Walz, the governor of Minnesota himself. Walz probably woke up expecting a simple day in Midwestern politics, the kind where you cut a ribbon here, shake a hand there, and maybe toss out a corny dad joke to keep the mood light. But instead, he walked straight into the verbal crossfire of Tyrus and Megyn Kelly, two sharp wordsmiths who handle opinions the way chefs handle perfectly sharpened knives, slicing straight through the moment and throwing him right into a full-on roast battle.
To Tim Walz, who, just when you think no one's sitting at this table, neither she nor the big white blanket, can embarrass themselves any further, he does. She asks him, to her credit, about the carrying the weapons in war, which we know is a lie. He never served in war. He's been stealing valor for quite some time. And take a listen to this.
Said that you carried weapons in war, but you have never deployed actually in a war zone. A campaign official said that you misspoke. Did you?
Well, first of all, I'm incredibly proud. I've done 24 years of wearing uniform.
You could practically hear Tim Walz's carefully polished public image beginning to crumble in real time. This is a man who tries to present himself as the perfect mix of a serious governor and a friendly small-town coach. The kind of person who shouts encouragement from the sidelines while fumbling with his own clipboard like it's trying to escape his hands. He's often portrayed as the regular, everyday guy who somehow wandered into the governor's mansion by accident, giving off the vibe of someone who just wanted to help but ended up running an entire state by surprise.
Yeah.
A teacher snatches the bully's ass up.
Yeah.
Come sit with me. That's what I know. Someone's bullying. Oh, you can sit with me for a while. And then I would lean on him. I'd bully him back. He's not a teacher. He's not a politician. He's a creepy guy who can't remember.
Tyrus wasn't buying the image Tim Walz tried to project. Not for a second. He described it as giving off strange vibes wrapped in a corny package. Almost like Walz looked less like a governor and more like a substitute gym teacher who somehow wandered into the wrong meeting and started signing state budgets by accident. But Megyn Kelly wasn't there just to make jokes. She stepped in with the intensity of someone who had been waiting all week for a shaky alibi to crumble in a courtroom. She cut through Walz's contradictions with the confidence of someone capable of dismantling a reputation while wearing high heels, making her the precise scalpel to Tyrus's heavy-hitting hammer.
English, my grammar's not always correct. But again, if it's not this, it's an attack on my children for showing love for me, or it's an attack on my dog.
This took chutzpah. Let's go through it. You said you carried weapons in war, but you've never deployed in a war zone. Campaign official of yours said you misspoke. Did you? Well, I'm proud, incredibly proud of my record. He keeps doing this. Equally proud of my service in the class. Did I mention I was a teacher and a coach, an assistant coach, okay, whatever. But he's more stolen valor. In the classroom, I'm in the classroom. My record speaks for itself. It doesn't actually. You've put a lot of lies into that record that you've been called out on by servers.
And poor Tim Walz found himself looking like someone bragging about acing a test, only to discover later that it was graded on a curve and he barely passed, or even failed. But let's go back for a moment, because Tyrus and Megyn weren't roasting him randomly today. They treated him like a lukewarm casserole that everyone keeps pretending tastes better than it does. So who exactly is this man, and why does he draw so much attention? Tim Walz, the governor of Minnesota, is a politician, a former football coach, and a former teacher. A resume that looks relatable on a campaign poster, but reads more like the opening scene of a sitcom about a coach who accidentally becomes a senator. He has leaned heavily on his everyman branding for years, with corny comments, small town charm, and endless flannel shirts as part of the package. But the problem appears when the friendly image meets real policy. Suddenly the seams start to show, and in Walz's case, those seams look like they were outlined with a thick marker. His pandemic record only made things worse, as Tyrus found it hilarious. Like watching a coach tell his team to run faster without ever pointing out where the end zone actually is. A perfect example of Walz giving tough words without clear direction.
Water in that White House, or was everyone on the same bad cocaine? But Kamala can't speak, he can't speak, Biden was so high he couldn't remember anything. Like, this is literally the dumbest administration of all time. Why is he talking?
It really is the ultimate clown show, and I said this in the pod. He's a clown without a circus.
He doesn't even need makeup.
He's roaming the terrain. Is there some carnival?
Then everything escalated in his own backyard when the George Floyd demonstrations erupted, placing Minnesota at the center of the world's attention. This was Tim Walz's moment to step up as a strong leader, but instead, the public watched a governor swing wildly between hesitation and overreaction, almost like a driver who slams the gas at a red light and then slams the brakes at a green one. It turned into real-time political whiplash that left people unsure of what would happen next. And we can't ignore Tyrus's opinion on Walz's approach to education either. Walz loves reminding everyone that he's an educator, the man in the classroom, the coach with heart, the guy who cares about kids. He leans fully into the tough coach with compassion image and walks around acting like he's guiding a team toward victory, which makes the whole situation even more amusing, because when it comes time to make actual decisions, he enforces policies that leave people wondering whether he even read his own playbook in the first place.
Clarify, as your campaign had tried to do, and now you appear to be distancing yourself from that clarification. And then here's two pieces of this that are really... I speak like they do. People are coming to get to know me. I speak like they do. I speak candidly. I wear my emotions on my sleeve. And I speak especially passionately about, and then he goes on to blame it on the school shootings. I guess he was upset about school shootings, so he lied. But stop saying you speak like we do. I speak like regular people.
Megyn Kelly wasted no time pointing out the cracks in Tim Walz's everyman image, tearing it apart with sharp precision. She highlighted how he claims to support ordinary people, yet makes decisions that hit those same people the hardest, almost like a lifeguard bragging about saving swimmers while tossing them a heavy cinder block instead of a life preserver. That's exactly why the tag team roast from Tyrus and Megyn landed with such force. They weren't just mocking his policies, they were dismantling the entire brand he built. The slogans, the staged photo ops, the flannel shirts, and the friendly smile routine all begin to fall apart the moment you look a little closer. Supporters say he's progressive, caring, and moving Minnesota forward, but the shine disappears fast when the spin is stripped away. It's like buying a flashy new car that looks incredible in the driveway but breaks down every other week, leaving you calling AAA more often than you're actually driving it.
I feel bad for Elon. I would be furious if I was him. If this is who you sent to troll me? Like, what am I doing wrong to get the guy from D Team to come out at Family Theater and call me names? Like, Tim, I would, if they were like, oh, Tyrus, man, tough news cycle. Tim Walz is talking about you. I'd be like,
The most surprising part is that Tim Walz is no longer just a local figure. He's being pushed onto the national stage, with people even whispering about him as a possible vice presidential pick. That means this roast wasn't just a joke. It was a loud warning shot aimed right at his growing ambitions. How is he supposed to handle the non-stop pressure of a national campaign when Megyn Kelly's sharp precision and Tyrus's blunt, heavy-hitting humor already leave him struggling to stay steady? Tyrus sees him as someone trying to look tough without ever showing a real scoreboard, while Megyn views him as a polished salesman promoting policies that don't deliver. With that in mind, coaching Little League might be a better long-term plan for Walz than chasing the White House if two outspoken critics can shake him this easily.
With you in the audience, I watched him last night and I thought he was amazing. He is a spectacular speaker. He had that rally in the palm of his hand. He's way more effective than she is or Joe Biden is. For the first time that I can remember, had like a feeling of fear rise up in my throat because I know what he's permitting in Minnesota when it comes to children, which, you know, we talk about one of the defining issues of our time is the way we treat our animals, our livestock, the way we kill them. Because
Tyrus sees Tim Walz, who promotes himself as the coach of the people, as someone who might struggle to lead even a basic dodgeball team. In his view, the players would run in circles, the ball would sit untouched on the floor, and there would be plenty of shouting, but absolutely no strategy. Megyn Kelly took things even further. She peeled back the layers and exposed the spots where Walz claims toughness, yet shows inconsistency, and where he talks about compassion, but reveals confusion instead. Take the aftermath of the George Floyd tragedy, for example. Minnesota needed steady, confident leadership, but Walz often hesitated, reacted late, or swung too far in the opposite direction, creating more turmoil in moments when clarity was desperately needed.
I want to fight him so bad. Why won't he just answer my tweets, my DMs, like just one arm? And I just want to slap the He's so weak. He brings nothing. If you were going to go after someone, man to man, hit him with a fact.
During critical moments, Tim Walz swung back and forth so dramatically that it felt like he was trying to satisfy everyone while ending up pleasing no one at all. He rushed to comfort one side but seemed too nervous to upset the other, creating a situation where absolutely nobody walked away satisfied. Megyn was completely right when she said that leadership built on trying to please everyone eventually fails to please anyone. It's like a waiter delivering the wrong salad with confidence, insisting it's exactly what you ordered, yet still forgetting the rest of your meal. Under Walz's guidance, businesses never knew whether they'd stay open the next day or be blindsided by sudden rule changes, especially after his shaky handling of COVID and education. The irony practically writes itself. The former educator who wanted to make schools shine instead watched performance drop, curriculum debates explode, and expenses climb higher and higher. Even the people's coach couldn't manage to keep his own classroom organized.
There was Oliver Wendell Holmes, and actually you can. I don't believe you're a lawyer, Governor Walz. You can yell fire in a crowded theater, and you can say hateful things because this is the United States of America, and it's right there in Amendment number 1. It's one of our favorites, was one of the founders' favorites, and was one of the founding principles upon which this country was built. There's no exception for speech. Tim Walz or Kamala Harris magically deemed hateful. But they've been pushing this, both of them, and a lot of Democrats have, for quite some time. These young Democrats on college campuses say that they believe that the Constitution doesn't protect hate speech.
Tim Walz's record doesn't look impressive for someone who built his entire image around being the educator-in-chief. Megyn hit the point perfectly, explaining how it says a lot about a leader when the very trait they brag about becomes the area where they struggle the most. It's like a chef proudly bragging about their restaurant's success while accidentally burning the soup right in front of everyone. Walz presents himself as the friendly everyman coach, but the backlash becomes much sharper when the charm and flannel don't match the actual results he delivers. Tyrus summed it up with force. Walz is like a movie trailer that promises huge, thrilling action, but ends up delivering a slow, confusing drama instead, and Megyn's warning echoed loudly. If Walz struggles to manage Minnesota, how could he ever handle a national crisis? Promoting him would feel like putting the person who ruined the company picnic in charge of the entire business as the next CEO.
Have anything. And here's the cold part. If Elon called him up and said, hey, Tim, you want a job? he would take it because that's what spineless. He would, and when he was questioned, he was like, "I was just holding him in account. You know, I respect him, and I'm so happy to be working for X." He is the worst player on their team, and they don't mind sending him out because
They're trying to get him off the table.
Yeah.
They're putting him out early so he can't be.
This situation isn't just about Tim Walz. It's about everything he symbolizes in modern politics. To critics like Tyrus and Megyn, he represents a polished, marketable figure who focuses heavily on image, but struggles with consistency, making him perfect for sleek campaign ads, but far less effective when it comes to real governing. Their takedown highlighted a political style built more on branding than results, exposing how the machine behind him relies on slogans and presentation instead of solid leadership. Supporters rushed to defend him, of course, but even they couldn't ignore the growing list of problems that kept surfacing. Meanwhile, Tyrus's blunt honesty and Megyn's sharp precision turned their remarks into something almost comedic, like watching a boxer trip over his own shoelaces during a big match.
Tim Walz. Okay, Jen Psaki, she's a talking head, whatever. But Tim Walz was recently the vice presidential candidate on the Democratic ticket. Maybe you would expect a little better, a little higher in terms of the rhetoric. You would be disappointed. Here is SOT 20.
In the morning and you doom scroll through things, and although I will say this, the last few days you woke up thinking there might be news. Just saying. There will be news sometime, just so you know. There will.
Look at him. So chipper. Don't worry, there will be news. In other words, Trump will die. Something to look for.
You almost start to feel a little sympathy for Tim Walz, until you remember that he's the governor and every decision he makes affects millions of people across the state. That's why the humor hits so sharply, because the stakes are real and the consequences reach far beyond a simple joke. Can Walz recover from this, or is he destined to be remembered as yet another overhyped politician who couldn't live up to his own image? For years, he sold himself as the friendly coach next door running a state with patience and heart, but when Tyrus and Megyn tore that image apart, it peeled back like old wallpaper losing its glue. Supporters rushed forward to defend his compassion, his ideas, and his small town values, yet the critique left a mark that couldn't be ignored.
To Levine, look, he has a sports coat and a zip-up sweater underneath. No man wears that.
I may have done that in the past.
Yes.
I won't now, Tyrus.
No, and one day somebody's going to explain what a corporate income tax is to these people. It's not paid by this. It's not paid by the corporation. It's not like a building that goes, I've got to pay taxes. It's the worker.
It became incredibly easy for critics to spotlight the confusion, the inconsistencies, and the long speeches that never quite matched reality. When a leader's record looks like a highlight reel of hesitation and unclear choices, it becomes almost impossible to convince people that strong leadership is happening behind the scenes. And the problem stretched far beyond Minnesota. Even as Tim Walz was being talked about as a rising national figure, he unintentionally became an example of what happens when polished branding is valued more than actual substance. Under closer examination, the coach-turned-leader story unraveled faster than a folding chair collapsing during a wrestling match, showing just how fragile the narrative truly was. Even though the image might work in polished campaign ads, that's exactly why this takedown was so powerful. It wasn't only entertaining, it revealed truths that many had been waiting to see exposed.